Now, although I know we're in the season of deception, please strive very hard not to be deceived. Because the truth is, the expansion of the executive reduces the power of a president. Oh yes, you heard me right. It does not increase the powers of the president. It does not create an imperial presidency. Yeah, hold your horses, I'll explain why. Although the prime minister will most probably come from the same political party as the one the president belongs to, the prime minister cannot be fired by the president. That's very important. The only people who can relieve him of his duties is Parliament. In my view, that means a prime minister cannot survive by being the president's rubber stamp. No way. And don't forget, we have now reintroduced through the BBI proposals the office of the official leader of the opposition. Therefore, Parliament is going to be a different place. The president is going to be forced by the new arrangement to consult much more widely than is the case currently. That is a fact. It is a political reality which will quickly emerge from the new arrangement. The president from this new arrangement will also have to consult very widely in appointing the deputies or proposing the deputies. It is true that there's nothing to stop him or her from appointing all three from the same region. But then it will not be politically viable. Now, going by the past in Kenya, constitutions are not as powerful. This is a very sad thing to say, but true. Constitutions and rules and laws in them are not as powerful as political reality. And that is a fact. The political reality will be that if a president wants his agenda passed in Parliament, he will have to look very, very carefully at the regions when consulting with others over the appointment of the deputy prime ministers, who are two. That will be critical. I am persuaded that with this arrangement, we will see a much more vibrant and independent legislature. Members of Parliament will not behave the way we have seen them behaving since 2013, which, by the way, is very different from the way they used to behave before 2013. Therefore, it is safe to assume that one of the reasons must have been this American system we copy-pasted into a constitution. It has not quite worked out the way it was envisaged to work out. Because the whole idea was to have Parliament to check the powers of the presidency. That has not happened. But now, things are back to what they were before 2013. And in my view, they're even better. Because we have an official opposition, which, by the way, addresses the very huge concern of winner takes it all. Because if you are run up in an election, you still have an official office. You still have a shadow cabinet. You still have quite a lot of contributions to make. And you can even partially implement the policy you had in mind had you been elected president. I'm aware of the fact that many of us were still too young in the year 2002, 2003, when we had the last Parliament under this kind of arrangement, or an arrangement which was close to this one, where we had President Mwai Kibaki and the leader of the opposition was Uhuru Kenyatta, our current president. You will remember, those of you who are around, that members allied to President Kibaki's Democratic Party did not always toe the line. No, it was a very vibrant parliament. You know, the option of not passing the BBI is to remain as we are. The option is not to do anything, to address what happened in 2017. But if we pass the BBI, at least we will be doing something. And there are many times in this life when you do something which you're not fully confident about, and somehow it works out. It helps you. It improves the situation. Because there's nothing which is a perfect solution. Therefore, I would urge you to fully back and support the BBI. Now, I have listened very carefully to those who are arguing against the BBI, those who are shooting down the BBI, and I have very carefully taken into account the arguments. And I have come to one conclusion. This anti-BBI gang, and I'm talking about politicians in Team Tangatanga, remind me very much of my primary school debating days, because I went to a primary school that used to win national awards in debating. I don't know if this still goes on in primary schools. What do I mean? You'll be given a topic, and then you're told, argue against this motion. And then the other side is told, argue for this motion. And therefore, to win that contest, you have to go out and look for points to support whatever side of the motion you stand. That was debating as a sport. But now we are talking about national issues that will impact on the lives of Kenyans. Therefore, this is serious. Bottom line, you need to convince us and tell us how the BBI is going to harm Kenyans. You need to show us and convince us how the BBI is going to destroy our 2010 constitution. And so far, I have not heard a single point, including arguments from very respected Kenyans, legal minds. I have not heard a single argument that would convince me that there's anything within the BBI that would destroy our constitution. Maybe you can correct me. Folks, let's open our eyes. What is happening here is incitement. Incitement against the BBI. Not because it is bad, not because it will destroy the constitution, but mostly because the person behind the BBI is a man called Raila Odinga. Maybe if the person behind the BBI was Chris Kumekucha, maybe some of you would have changed your minds. And this is the issue. Let us not look at the personalities. Let us look at the content. They have taken full advantage of the current environment in Kenya. People are frustrated. People are very angry at the government. The COVID haste is still fresh in the minds of Kenyans. The Jubilee government has been a total mess. And it is very interesting that the person leading the attack against the BBI has been bang in the middle of that mess that is the Jubilee government. But we're all emotional, and therefore we're forgetting that. And we're cheering on this person. We need to ask ourselves, these people shooting down the BBI, whose interests do they have at heart? Do they have the interests of Kenyans? Or do they have the personal, selfish interests of pushing their particular presidential candidate straight into State House? That is a question we must ask ourselves. And therefore, what I would urge all of you, sell the BBI. Let us push the BBI through. Not because of Raila Odinga, no, but because I firmly believe that it will create an opportunity for us to make a better Kenya. Even if it is slightly a better Kenya in politics, You grab every opportunity to improve, every opportunity to make a difference. And as I've said before, these opportunities are usually rare. So this is one opportunity. Let us grab it. Let us not lose it simply because of emotion. Yes, we are suffering. Yes, the Jubilee government has messed. But this is an opportunity. Let us put aside our emotions for once, pass this thing, and then, going forward, let us ensure that we do our very best to push through the other things that together the BBI will dramatically improve the lives of Kenyans. For instance, electing people of integrity, not electing people along tribal lines. That is very important, because if we still elect crooks, the BBI will not make a difference. Now, how all these events were linked. And this one is a hot one. For starters, we now know that the postponement of the drive for BBI signatures was not instigated by the meeting between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy. Of course, Team Tangatanga and those supporting the deputy president tried very hard to cash in on the situation and convince us that that meeting had something to do with stopping reggae. Well, now it's very clear it did not. The reason why it was postponed was for the changes which we have seen to be made to the BBI document. That is now very clear. So why did that meeting take place? Now, according to information that I've gathered, here and there, it seems that at least part of what was discussed in that meeting, wait for this one, were the ICC cases and developments at The Hague concerning the same. And I'm further persuaded that this is true by some of the people the deputy president met when he was in Dubai. Some of the meetings that were not very well publicized, which some concluded were an effort to raise money for the presidential campaigns of 2022. Well, I don't agree. The meetings to do with finances, had more to do with what is ahead. Now, you have to be very careful when following politicians, because politicians see ahead. They see a danger ahead. They have more information than we have. Therefore, politicians are like giraffes amongst us. We're here on the ground. We're blinded. But the giraffe with the long neck can see ahead, and they can see the danger ahead. And therefore, many times, actions that our politicians are taking have to do with something that is ahead that we may not be able to see immediately. That's a very useful tip when you want to analyze politicians. Now, in my previous videos, I've covered the developments within the ICC. In fact, somebody pointed out the other day in Club 1999 that the hearing of at least one of these cases is going to start next year, the year 2021, which is true. But of course they forgot, or they didn't realize, that even before a case starts, prosecutors have got evidence. They have got witnesses lined up. They have a case to put up against the accused person. And therefore my earlier videos were based on that information. And you can review them to get that information. I'll put a link to some of them in the description area below on this video on YouTube. But even if you don't have any information, there are just a few simple questions you have to ask yourself. The person who has given themselves up, the ICC, what were they accused of? What areas are the prosecution going to concentrate on, which they have already told us in the past? And when you answer those questions, you will know the information I gave you in previous videos is accurate. And the same applies to the other case, which is due to start, I believe, next year, involving Rwandese Felician Kabuga. A lot of this information is already in the public domain. What the man is charged with, which country helped him, to avoid being arrested. We have all this information. We even have the information, in some quarters, of who assisted this particular fugitive, in escaping justice. Diplomatic passports were issued. Just go back and do your research if you don't believe my information. Anyway, I am sure things are much more clearer now. I have received a lot of criticism concerning my stand and my views on the US elections, which is okay. I call those occupational hazards. And this is not the first time it has happened to me. In my long career, it has happened many, many times. But I still thank very much all those who reached out to me to encourage me, maybe thinking that I was crestfallen, that I was devastated by developments. Thank you very much. But I'll repeat what I told all of them. I have not changed my position, and it is not because of any reasons to do the emotions or me wanting to be proved right. And I repeat what I said earlier. The US elections are not over. Let us revisit this issue when they're finally over. Remember the season we are in right now. It is the season of deception. Before the elections, we were deceived about how those elections are going to go. So it does not make sense to look to the same sources who deceived us about how those elections are going to go. It doesn't make sense to look at the same sources to inform our decisions of whether the US elections are over or not. It is not over until it is over. Or to quote what many people have always said over the years, it is not over until the fat lady sings. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.